Hello, listeners. It's Lisa Starr with the Starrcast Podcast, and we are back on the road yet again, this time in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia at the first ever FIBO Arabia fitness event. We are in a little room up above the show floor. It's buzzing. It's pretty packed, I think, today. And so I'm having some chats with folks I meet along the way, and I think you're going to love our first guest, Dina Elshurafa, and she is joined with Louise Whiles. Dina's got a great story to share with you and about how she came to be here at a fitness event and what her plans are. So thanks, ladies, for joining us.
Thanks, Lisa, for having us. Thank you for having us.
So Dina, we were connected on WhatsApp right before you came by another person that we know, and I was told you own a boutique fitness business, and that's all I know. And then I meet you and you're like, well, I'm actually a lawyer, right? So tell us a little bit about that whole journey. How did you end up here at FIBO today?
Yeah, absolutely. So yes, I am a lawyer. I've been a lawyer for 15 years, and I just made the transition fully into the wellness fitness sector 2 months ago. So I'm an oil and gas attorney, and because of the industry that I'm in, I used to travel to the Middle East a lot. So I am based in London, and because of all my travels to the Middle East, I used to come here and think, okay, I need a good place to work out, but there weren't that many.
Challenge for women.
Exactly. And I wanted to sort of maintain the same fitness regime that I had in London, and yeah, it was slim pickings. There were the options weren't there. So I thought, there's a business idea. Why not explore the market? The UAE was kind of the United Arab Emirates, where Reform Athletica was first set up, is a very hungry market. It's very entrepreneurial, very welcoming, and it had that buzz and desire for new ideas. And I think I thought, why not take the plunge and open a business there? And 2017, we set up Reform Athletica, which is a Pilates. It's a multi-modality studio. It offers Pilates and TRX, bar and strength classes. And yeah, myself and Louise is sort of managing the entire place in Dubai at the moment. And yeah, she was one of the first people to join us.
Yeah. You were a customer?
No, so I came on board as an instructor. So that's my background. I've always been into movement. I was actually a dancer prior to moving to Dubai, and I moved to Dubai 10 years ago on a journey, to become an instructor. And I was 3 years at another location, at another studio, another franchise in Dubai. And that's how I met Dina. I saw that there was advertisements for an instructor to join Reform Athletica before it even opened. And I met Dina and Craig, they're the owner. And I just, jumped on board straight away. I remember visiting the first location, and it was just a construction site at the time. And I was instantly just sold, looking for a new journey at the time. And honestly, I've just fallen in love with the method and everything about it. And to see it expand now to soon to be 3 locations, I'm just...
Amazing.
Wow.
So Dina, you have 2 in Dubai, and you're about to open a 3rd here in Riyadh.
That's right.
And when is it scheduled to open?
We are hoping for a December opening, subject to, contractors fulfilling their promises.
No different in this country than any other.
Yeah, exactly. But we're hoping the machines are on the way. We actually just visited site yesterday. It's looking real. The walls are up, the ceilings are up. So yeah, December is the hope.
So an oil and gas attorney, this is like a joke, like walks into a bar. I mean, what made you think, I can run a fitness business?
As cliched as it sounds, I think there is an innate passion inside of me for fitness. I was diagnosed with diabetes 15 years ago, and I kind of, that led me more into leading a healthier lifestyle. Not that I wasn't before, but it really refocused my kind of desire to lead a healthier lifestyle. And as a result of that, I saw that the region here, having grown up here, having been born in Saudi Arabia, that it needed something. It needed people to bring international world-class concepts that are on par with classes in London and New York and LA, which at the time when we opened, there weren't that many. So I thought, you know what, I think I want to turn that passion into reality and And at the time, it was a side passion, a side hustle, but now it's turning into a bit of a full-time big project.
So you're turning your back on the legal world for the moment.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, it's how great that is to invent your next path. And, it's important that you bring passion with it. It's one thing to know how to do things. We've sat in the CEO conference here at FIBO all day and listened to amazing speakers and people from consulting firms and investment bankers talk about how to make money, but it's another thing to do it on the ground. And you really do have to have some passion. So you have 2 clubs in Dubai. How's that been? Like, what's it been like? What's been the challenges you faced doing that?
I think people underestimate what it takes to run a fitness studio. At the outset, they think, you know what, I'll just rent real estate, I'll buy a bunch of machines, job done. It's easy. But it is a completely different ballgame to maintain a standard that continues to retain and impress clients, that continues to make sure that your brand and your reputation stays at the top of the market. Because we've seen a lot of players come and go, but we're fortunate enough to have maintained a good enough standard for people to know that we're the premier fitness brand in the United Arab Emirates. And that's the legacy that we want to continue as we expand in different markets. And I think it's all down to, apart from being and delivering great workouts, it's about ensuring that every customer that walks through the door is valued, is seen, is respected, and really appreciated and heard. Because, clients come in, we know they want to work out, but what's their unexpressed need? What is it that they also want to tackle that they haven't told us apart from working out? And that's what we need to focus on to ensure that our level of excellence and service continues to be at the top of its game.
In the UAE, are you able to offer classes to men and women, or do you do?
Yes, yeah, mixed classes.
Which will not be the case here in Riyadh.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate bit. For now, we are trying a new concept where we're going to have ladies-only days and men-only days.
That seems like a good plan.
Yeah, so we're going to trial it out. But I think, as they've touched on in the chats today, it's local knowledge is power, and understanding the market that you're in is really important. So we need to respect the culture and respect the place that we're setting up in. So we're going to start with this concept first, see how it goes. But I do think there is appetite for, competing with the likes of Dubai and Abu Dhabi and other GCC cities where you want to make sure that you're offering mixed classes and and I've seen it because I've grown up here where I wasn't allowed to drive growing up, but now I can. So there is a shift. It's slow, but I hope we will get there. So I don't think that we'll be ladies only, men only for a long time. I hope that it'll be.
Louise, can you speak to the membership mix in Dubai? How many are men, women? How many are expats versus locals?
So it actually started mainly women. I mean, the offering that we have being Pilates is, of course, globally addressed to a lot more female-driven. Over the past couple of years, we've really put a lot of effort into getting a bit more men awareness into fitness. And since we've opened our second location, which is in the financial district of Dubai, we've actually seen a higher number of male clients going in. Yeah. Also male trainers. We have a mix of male and female trainers and staff as well. So I think that also helps. So there is a bigger awareness now being brought to the region. And I mean, I'm personally excited to be building this third location in Saudi Arabia and to see where the fitness industry is going in the kingdom as well.
100%. How big are the clubs? And, what's the size of the average Reform Athletica?
So we have 2 studios. The first location was a small, intimate location with maximum 7 in a room. And that's kind of the model that we do have. We want to keep this classes number small so that the clients come in and they still have that personal kind of one-to-one connection with the trainers as well. Our second location is slightly bigger, but maximum 12. So it's still quite intimate.
But you run many classes a week, I guess, oh my gosh, that
20 a day. Each location. Yeah.
So we start at 6:30 and our last class is at 9 p.m.
Way to do it.
Yeah.
Small, your real estate costs are lower, your build out costs are lower, and just make it busy. We've heard a lot today about pricing and premium pricing being a driver of retention. Are you seeing that in your Dubai locations?
Yes, absolutely. We are one of the most expensive boutique studios in Dubai, but we are now having to study the market in Saudi because even though
they're next door, they're not the same.
Absolutely. Oh my God, the differential is incredibly huge. I mean, we're talking about the Dubai class and average, and we're the most expensive, I think, in terms of pricing. An average class there is about $45. Here, it's $100 a class. US dollars, $100 a class for a Pilates class.
Well, who's paying that?
Exactly. I mean, we
princesses.
Yeah. Again, I think that goes to my previous point. I mean, we've visited studios. And people do pay it. There is appetite for these kinds of offerings, and people want to go to Pilates and want to, exercise. But I think, but I also think it's due to the fact that there aren't that many options here. So that makes it easier for people setting up studios to, crank the prices up. But as more and more studios open, I think that will naturally just fizzle out, and the prices will naturalize a little bit because they're very expensive. I mean, even for the average person, if you want to go to 3 classes, that's $300.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Well, this is definitely a blue ocean space. You're probably coming at exactly the right time because there is nothing in the market. As a traveler, when I'm here and I want to go to the gym, I've been shocked at how difficult it is, how terrible the equipment is for the women. Right. Or I was recently, on my last visit here, stayed in a hotel where they had, I thought I'll go to the gym, and I went, and I'm, oh, right, it's the men's gym. Oh, we have a women's gym. They say down the hall, you can't find it. I get there. I'm not kidding. It was a room like this with a treadmill in the corner, and that was the gym. I'm like, oh, seriously, come on. So it was in a different city than here. But the market, they want more. They definitely want more. I'm wondering if people are going to say they want to go to Pilates, or they're actually going to go. I mean, the proof will be in the pudding. Right?
Yeah, I think there's a shift. It's slow. It's not, I mean, the market here isn't catching up as quickly as one would like. For example, early classes here aren't a thing. So when Louise is working on the schedule, we're kind of debating, should we have a 6:30 a.m. class? And when we talk to people, they're like, No,
this market is so funny. I mean, we're at a conference that started at noon.
We said the same.
And ends at 9 tonight. I was like, wait, am I reading this right?
Exactly.
But they're not morning people.
And even we were interviewing trainers, and some of them were like, we're only available after 7 p.m. And we're like,
which funnily enough is the opposite of the issues I face in Dubai, where a majority of people are morning. Oh, no, actually, we have a mix, but in terms of instructor preference of teaching, because this is the question I've asked, what would be your preference in terms of teaching? So I think that's important for staff. You want to program in to be at their highest energy level. And everyone that we've spoken to for Saudis eat on it.
I guess in Dubai, it is a more developed market in terms of the workplace. People have jobs, they go out, they're busy, they have a social life, and they have a very vibrant social life here in Riyadh, but the jobs part maybe not as much. People have more leisure time, and they don't choose to use it working out at 6 a.m. like Americans do. But you'll see. You'll
Yes,
think.
it's my challenge to find. There's clients in Riyadh who wants a 6 a.m., 6:30. That will be my mission.
exactly.
We'll see. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think will be the result of looking for staff here? I mean, are there trained people here to help with Pilates? Are there instructors?
That has been actually one of the most challenging. We kind of knew this going into it, that finding the right staff would be one of the more challenging aspects. There are recruitment agencies out there who are very, very specialized and excellent. If I'm honest, they've really been helpful. And the more people that we've kind of connected with, especially on this visit now, kind of word of mouth goes a long way. I think we're quite lucky that we're already established in the UAE, so people know who we are. But I think globally, from even speaking, that there's so many courses now that are readily available that are cheaper and accessible online, which 10 years ago when I was doing all my certifications, for example, Pilates took me minimum 6 months and it's quite expensive. Of course, you put a lot of investment in yourself to get these certifications, but now they're accessible to anyone. So the level of trainers I've noticed as well has dropped, unfortunately. Yeah, but so this is something that we kind of navigate.
Sort of a two-pronged thing.
Yeah.
More of them, but they're not as qualified. Dina, do you think as a business owner, you may have to sponsor some training, or, how will you get the locals to know this is a thing they can learn how to do?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, even to date, we've offered all our trainers a budget for training. We're very keen on ensuring that training and development is part and parcel of the overall package that we offer. And we just actually hosted an offsite for our team a couple of weeks ago, and the focus right now is our team and employees, because if you have a happy employee, you'll have a happy client. So, and we kind of focused on it the wrong way around. Previously, we focused solely on clients and driving sales up, but we didn't really focus on, okay, but in order to make sure clients are happy, what's the magic formula? And the magic formula is actually to ensure you have a happy team.
In most businesses, but not just yours.
Exactly. And as part of kind of creating a happy, fostering a good environment for our employees, we give our trainers a budget for training. We sponsor training as well. Even folks for Riyadh that we're hiring, we're sponsoring some of their training as well. But it is, I do want to kind of reemphasize what Louise is talking about in terms of how easily it's become for trainers to get qualified. And for me, because that is the bread and butter of our business, if a trainer isn't qualified to deliver a really good workout, then your business isn't really solid enough. And there's obviously the education element, but there's the personality element. And mixing the two is what we call the magic sauce to hopefully, have a successful business.
So let's talk for a moment about the marketing. Everyone's digital. How will you reach this market to let them know when you're open?
We will have to enlist assistance from people within Saudi. I mean, we are in discussions with a PR agency here who will help us, gain the usual exposure for a newcomer, the usual press and media publications that will publish articles and press releases about our opening. We're fortunate enough that we're in an area that's quite heavily populated in the diplomatic quarter with a lot of embassies and schools, and there's a mix of expats and locals as well in the area. So the community drive will also help, and I think it's about making sure that our social media presence is very strong. It's kind of where marketing is really focused on these days, and ensuring that we have good ambassadors. But I think the most important thing, notwithstanding all the new methods of marketing, word of mouth continues to be the most powerful tool in order to get people in the door.
Whether it's face-to-face word of mouth or on social. What social media channel are you finding is going to be popular here in Saudi?
Instagram is...
Instagram.
Yeah, there's a lot of TikTok here, although Reform Athletica is not on TikTok. But Instagram, we've dabbled with LinkedIn, but I don't think people are not in the fitness world so much so.
Yeah.
We found. Yeah, exactly.
I don't think that's true globally. I think fitness is just, they're not big on LinkedIn, but on the spa and wellness side, we are.
Yeah.
Very much so, but I don't see as much fitness activity on LinkedIn. And plus, it's more B2B, not the consumer side.
Exactly.
Well, good to know that you can use Instagram the same way you do in Dubai.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there are some local regulations that we have to navigate and kind of cultural norms that we have to adapt to, but nothing that's out of the ordinary. And just to kind of be respectful of various times of the year, like Ramadan, where, you have to make sure that you're not doing something that's going to upset the local community. And we do it with open arms, happily. We embrace the culture and we want to assimilate and offer something that people think is homegrown and is close to their heart.
That's well said. I mean, you are a bit of a citizen of the world as it is. You told me you're Canadian, you're Palestinian, you're born in Saudi, you live in London. I don't know. But when you have that perspective, you're more sensitive to those environments, and knowing that every place doesn't have to look like the other to be right, to be successful. So my last question will be around support team. Right. I mean, you've got the trainers, but you probably also need people to answer the phone and man the desk. I mean, how do you plan to find them and train them?
That's a tough one.
Yeah. Ongoing process.
It's an ongoing process.
Yes, ongoing process. I mean, there is also recruitment agencies for every type of work. But yeah, this is the ongoing next agenda.
Absolutely. But that's actually the crucial bit for us, because that is the first port of call when a client comes through the door. So they need to be super, experienced in making sure that the customer feels welcomed from the get-go. And I think this is maybe something that isn't as finessed here in the kingdom as it probably is elsewhere in the world. It's a work in progress. I think the customer service culture is still in its kind of nascent stages here. This is what we want to make sure we tackle from day one. And we want to bring in our standards and our SOPs and our policies to make sure that clients come in and feel such a big difference between what we offer in terms of the customer journey versus the next door gym or studio. And that's something that we need to make sure.
I'm sure it's going to be great. Go ahead, Louise.
We also want our clients to know whichever location they visit of ours, whether it's Dubai, whether it's Riyadh, whether it's future studios as well, that they will have the same experience wherever they go.
Yeah.
Are you membership driven? I didn't ask that.
We are pay to play, so we're packages. So you can buy packages and the more you buy, the kind of less expensive it becomes.
And will you let people use them in Dubai and Riyadh? Is that even possible?
It is. I think it is. I think the differential in currency might be a little bit tricky because different currencies. And also, I think our pricing will need to be a little bit different here. Mm-hmm. And just to go back on pricing, even between Saudi cities, so between Riyadh and Jeddah, where I'm from, the difference is crazy in terms of class prices. There's at least a good $25 to $35 difference between what you pay here and what you pay in a city just down the road. So there's definitely more purchasing power here than there are in different cities in the kingdom. So I think as much as we'd like to have packages being used across kind of all our studios, it might be more logistically more challenging.
Hey, listen, you have to maximize the market and your investment. And, pricing is not, we don't want it to be elastic, right? You come in at a certain price and you're going to be cheaper than the $100 classes. So, but you want people to come back. I mean, that's the key, is retention, as we've been listening to today. Well, my money's on you, ladies. I think you're going to be very successful here, and your timing is just right.
Thank you. We'll need to make sure you come and try our classes on your next visit.
It will be much better than an empty room in the treadmill, exactly. No doubt. So Dina Elshurafa and Louise Wilson, Reform Athletica, thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Hi, so I'm back with another guest, Matthew Graham, who I've just met, and he was on a panel with me, and we talked about the commercialization of wellness strategies. Matthew is the general manager of Core Life, which, if you've ever been in this region, you'll know is a really cool sort of social wellness brand with 2 units open here in Saudi now.
Two in Saudi, and we have 3 sites in Egypt as well currently.
So, Matthew, you came into the field as a fitness trainer. You worked in the Middle East for many years. You've been here in Riyadh for 2 years. Tell us a little bit about what's that been like. How is Riyadh different than, say, UAE, where you spent a lot of time?
Many similarities, obviously, in terms of culture, but many stark contrast differences as well. I mean, Dubai is, you can say, a very international city, which Riyadh wishes to become, but has still not become on the scale of Dubai. So
Well, few things are on the scale of Dubai, honestly.
Yeah. We're blessed to live in Dubai for so many years. And obviously in Dubai, you just interact with so many different cultures. Here in Saudi, the main difference is that most of the people that you work with, 50% Saudiization within the workforce. So that...
and that's mandated.
That's mandated. So 50% of our teams have to be from Saudi Arabia, which is, for me, great, actually. And Saudi Arabia obviously has changed dramatically in the last couple of years, and the king is driving big change in the country. And really, you feel, because obviously in our type of business, it's typically younger people who work in our business, and you really start to see the youth want to get involved, and you can see that they're hungry to learn. And obviously for expats coming in, I feel that I have a duty to help teach and educate the youth in Saudi Arabia to eventually develop and grow the scale of things here to an international level.
It's great to hear you say that, because I know there are many misconceptions in the West about this part of the world, and Saudi in particular, that there's this thought that everyone's wealthy and no one works, and that's not really true.
It's true for some part, but for the most part, Saudi Arabia is a country where there's a lot of people that need to work. Saudi Arabia has a lot of money, but there's also a lot of, you can say, if I can say that, poverty in the region as well. So you have big differences and a big divide still in every other part of the world. The divide, I think, is getting bigger between the rich and the poor. That's the same here in Saudi Arabia as well.
You know, we're here at the FIBO Arabia event, the inaugural event, and you might wonder, well, why is FIBO having an event in Saudi when the UAE is a more developed market? But I think it's a very smart strategic decision, because Saudi is much bigger. I mean, there's 37 million people in this country. The UAE has, 9?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, here in Riyadh, for example, there's 8 million people, almost the same as the entire UAE. So the opportunity is huge. The country is, as you say, it's massive. So there's lots of untouched areas. Saudi Arabia, when people think about Saudi Arabia, they think of the desert. But if you look at other areas, like we're now developing a wellness concept in a region called Taif, which is a mountainous region of Saudi Arabia where the climate is completely different to how it is in Riyadh. Exactly. And the roads is actually, funnily enough, we're now trying to, within what we do, we're trying to take some homegrown concepts. Taif is famous for the roses. So within our spa menu, you'll see rose-infused oils that are used. So for us, we don't shout from the rooftops that we're a Saudi brand, and it's not plastered on our marketing campaigns, but you will always feel a touch of culturally connected things within our business.
So what has been some of the surprises you found you were UAE for 20 years. You're not new to the region, but what was different about Saudi when you and your family moved here 2 years ago?
Surprises. I think whenever you move to a new country, there's always surprises, unknowns. I think when you move that's the second time I've moved to a new country. You just have to go with an open mind, and I think you have to adapt as an individual. Surprises. To be honest with you, I didn't come with heavy expectations for something. So, but what does surprise me, like specifically in our industry, is how quickly it's growing here. Saudi, the wellness market is actually growing more in Saudi than it is in the UAE. The growth of acceleration is huge.
Is that a factor of how more developed that market was, that the growth was already happened? And
yeah, I mean, we already spoke about size of the country. UAE is quite saturated, although I think reading a report recently, I think the penetration rate for fitness in the UAE is somewhere in the region of 6%. Europe, as an example, is in the region of, from memory, I think it's around 15%. So there's a long way to go. And even though it might seem saturated, there's a long way to go, but Saudi even more.
Plus you have the recent phenomenon of female gyms. I mean, for years, the women really didn't have a place to go or a way to get there. And now there's such a movement on for that. What are you seeing in that?
Yeah, I mean, females here in Saudi couldn't drive cars a few years back.
2017, right, is when that changed.
So life has changed dramatically for females living here, the locals. My wife actually spoke to me about Saudi Arabia before because she worked on business in the Middle East and actually she used to do business trips to Saudi Arabia she said it would be a place that she would never move to from her perspective, but that's going back 4 or 5 years. So how much it's changed is 4 or 5 years. Now she's here and she's enjoying living here. So that's how quickly the country has moved forward. Female gyms specifically, we were speaking about it earlier, are accelerating rapidly. We run a mixed gym concept. So we are the first mixed gender facility in Saudi Arabia.
How is that permitted?
You can say that we are the pioneers. There's a close relationship between our chairman. He's very close to the influential people in this country, and he's been given permission to trial that project. And so far, it's you can say that our members, many people seek it out, right? Because it's not possible everywhere. So I think it will become more common. And I think over the next 2 or 3 years, we won't be the only concept with a mixed gender.
But Matthew, are most of your members or guests expats that are used to that?
Most of our guests and members are from Saudi Arabia. They are. And we have facilities in Jeddah and Riyadh. Riyadh is, I would say, the commercial hub of Saudi Arabia right now. So there are more expatriates moving into predominantly Riyadh versus Jeddah. So we've got more expatriates in our Riyadh branch compared to Jeddah, definitely. But Saudi is around 85% of our entire membership makeup.
So what kinds of services are people looking for now that wellness is more recognized in the kingdom? Or have you seen your guests and members start to ask for new and different things?
Our members and guests are well informed, and we're in the luxury segment. So our members and guests, they travel a lot as well, and they go and experience the best hotels and the best concepts. Our members will go to London and they'll go to New York and stay at the Equinox Hotel and experience the Equinox product. So there's almost a level of expectation actually from us. They come back and they say, we want that here. And interestingly, I always get asked, how much do you need to adapt to the Middle Eastern market? But actually, I think this market is becoming much more international. And as I said earlier, we will always have those small touches that are culturally connected, but at the same time, I think we need to be on the same level as the international market as well, and maybe, who knows, become one day the benchmark. I mean, that for us is a goal. We're speaking about standards earlier, and that's something that's close to my heart. And for me, the goal is become benchmark in standards. So when
people look up to you,
exactly, we're respected for what we do, and I think that's possible. The region's attracting a lot of good talent, international talent, that are training and developing the Saudi individuals as well. So yeah, it's a very positive outlook.
There seems to be a big runway for core life. I mean, you were describing on stage that you have a yacht and you're developing a hotel and you have projects. I mean, what does the brand aspire to be eventually?
Our vision right now is to be the world's most exclusive lifestyle company. We will always run businesses that elevate the lifestyle of every individual, which is different to every individual. Your why is different to the next person's why. So I would say our offering always has to be tailored. We never offer standard, and every individual is treated as an individual, and we really try and go deep into the reasons why they buy from us. And obviously we then have a wide range of services that can then help them achieve their lifestyle goals. But it all links back to them and their why. And then we build the journey for them. And then we connect all the dots over the ecosystem that we have. And obviously the advancements in technology now help us a lot with that. For example, our members might receive a Whoop band from us as a gift from the club. We're now able to track his sleep data. So linking that to our hotels as an example, if permitted, we're suddenly now seeing how many hours a guest slept in the night. Then you can then start building in certain rituals based on that as well. So if you see that one of your guests has had a poor sleep and he's only slept 3 hours, then you might want to offer him a service that is going to make him feel better. So the data and the advancements in technology are going to help us as well.
That's a treasure trove of data for those you're permitted to share it with or who share with you. I've said several times on stages that, we are all wearing wearables of one sort or another, but when is the last time anyone asked you to look at it? Let me see how you're sleeping. Let me see how many steps you've taken.
And that's the thing with us. Actually, we are, everyone's heard of Whoop. So we have been in discussions with Whoop to be a partner actually, and to all of the data that Whoop see, again, as I said earlier, permitted, we would like to see that information as well, because data is king, and we can then use that data to influence the behavior of our members. And for us, it's all about influencing someone to be a better version of themselves, and you have to almost hold their hand. And we see in typical commercial health clubs, retention is very poor. 1 in 2 drop out in the first 12 months globally.
So 50%.
Pretty much 50 to 60%, which is 20 years, when I started in the industry 20 years ago, it was the same back then. So in 20 years, we haven't fixed the retention problem. For us, we feel it's our duty to fix the retention problem, and we're going to do that by being highly engaged with our customers. Many operators, I won't name them, but the budget operators of the world, if they see that some of their members are paying their active membership dues, but they're not coming, they don't poke the sleeping dragon. They leave them because these people continue to pay them as a brand.
And they don't need to worry about them costing any money.
But long term, that doesn't drive success. And that's we don't believe in that. So for us, we believe in the highly engaged model. So our onboarding process for a new member coming into the club, as standard, they meet with a nutritionist, they meet with a personal trainer, they meet with a spa therapist, who are all working together to prescribe the program for that person moving forward as well. So all of the departments are synced, and the CRM that we have in place, the individuals are tracked across all of the modalities, rather than the fitness team looking after that member for fitness and the spa team looking after that member for spa. Everyone's engaged in that person's journey with Core.
That sounds amazing. Well, lastly, let me ask you about training. I mean, we discussed on the stage that the kingdom has no licensing for many of the modalities we offer. There's not a lot of training, or history here in working in fitness or nutrition or sport or spa. So how have you managed to bring up, you have a high level of service delivery. How are you managing that with the team that you've got?
From a human resources perspective, we have a learning and development department linked to the human resources department, but we've gone a step further than that. And we've actually hired a head of education for our fitness team right now. So he's responsible for the learning and development for the fitness professionals that we have. That we will definitely extend to the other areas of the business with food and beverage and wellness as well. And he plays an integral role to develop individuals on the ground. Everyone comes from a different background. Everyone has their own expertise. But what we want to try and do is create standards. And we would like all of our personal trainers to deliver the same standards, and not people typically in a club, they will start comparing personal trainers and saying, oh, he's better than him. And we don't want to be in that situation. People will always add their own spice to the service, but we want to make sure that all of the training that happens on the ground brings everyone up to the same level, which for us, we want to raise the bar with our level as well. We're looking at, as I said earlier, international standards. We're seeing how we can push the dial a little bit as well, and see how we can become known as the place that is almost that training hub. And as I was speaking on stage earlier, one of our goals is to develop our own training academy. which will then extend out to the wider population of Saudi Arabia. So people in the future might be able to come and get a personal training qualification or a spa qualification from Core.
How long does it take someone that you hire to become fully trained in your standards as they are now?
We never throw anyone in at the deep end. And actually, we can learn a lot from other businesses. If you look at airlines, for example, Emirates Airline is the closest one to me. They don't send their cabin crew on a plane until they've done their 12-week intensive course. They don't even meet one customer before that. So maybe it's not 12 weeks for us, but we have a similar model whereby the first 2 weeks of anyone's journey with us, it's really an in-depth, comprehensive training program to make sure that they fully understand the brand and understand the values before the curtains get drawn back and they go on stage. They have to really understand who we are and what we're trying to achieve before they start interacting with customers. So that's something that is important to Nikos, our head of education, and that's something that he's worked on as well.
Well, very important for any brand. I guess my last question would be, do you have any recommendations for a brand or a company that says, oh, I think I'd like to go to Saudi and try my hand at this growing market? Anything to look ahead at?
Be humble. Don't think that just because your concept has worked in another market, it's definitely going to work here. I did say that Saudi Arabia does want to become, and Riyadh does want to become more of an international place. But at the same time, you will always have your Saudi heritage here, and a lot of the senior executives working for the companies are from Saudi Arabia as well. So you have to understand the culture before you start coming in with a concept that might work in a European market or an American market that may not work here. And we're seeing that as well now. Many of the operators who came from other parts of the world opened and shut their doors within a space of 2 years. So I was obviously not part of those businesses, so I don't understand the reasons. But for me, you have to really get close to the people of Saudi Arabia. And actually, that's been something. You asked me the question earlier about the difference between the UAE and Saudi. And in the UAE, I never really got maybe close enough to the UAE nationals because of how cosmopolitan the city was, and you're interacting with everyone from different cultures. But in Saudi, I spend a lot of time with Saudi individuals. So I think you've got to get close to them and you've got to understand them before you can start coming in with your grand ideas.
Great advice. Makes sense. Well, thank you again for joining us.
Thank
Matthew
you.
Graham, General Manager of Core Life.
Thank you.
If you haven't heard of them, you will be. Lots of growth plans.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
So now I am here with Susan Turner, who is very well known in these parts, although we just met in the elevator this morning. That was so fortuitous.
Absolutely love those kind of meetings.
Just this morning, it seems like it was so long ago.
Yeah.
So
thank you for showing me the way to the gym.
Oh, yes, that's right. A gym that women could actually use, which was really, really awesome here in Saudi. So Susan Turner has a long history here, and I will let her tell it, from coming here to be a personal trainer.
We're a Saudi princess back in 2009.
2009. And now, so that is what, 14, 20, a long time ago.
Yes.
It's very different now, I suspect.
Yes. So starting here back in the day, fully covered, very, very...
Like with an abaya and a head wrap.
A headscarf, long black type robe thing from head to toe. You're in black, very loose veil type material. So life then was very, very conservative here. And where a lot of people saw a lot of challenge, the flip side of that is there's also a huge amount of opportunity. At the time, it was quite a scary part of the world. We weren't too far out of 9/11, and there was a bit of a dark shroud over Saudi Arabia. So I did come in strange times, challenging times, but to be able to work with a Saudi princess who's phenomenal, to say, let's create opportunities for women in fitness to work out, but create jobs as well in the sector. That was the nice part of coming to a region that typically people stayed away from and targeted their efforts more towards Dubai, which was a little bit easier to land as an expat.
Sure. So 2009, did the princess bring you here? You met elsewhere.
So we met in London. So I was personal training her in London. And I was then traveling the world with her and her family. And that was just the most incredible experience, which at the time we didn't realize. We were visiting gyms in every country that we went to. Like, that's how we spent our days, like proper geeks. So we got to go and look at best practice in New York, in Los Angeles, in France, in Italy. And that really opens your mind because you see things, you hear things, and you get to experience, because we were working out in the gyms as well. It wasn't internet research. It wasn't secondhand views. It was us in real life saying, what does good look like in this country? And that was a really enjoyable part of life, was different countries and doing what I loved, which was going into different gyms. And then fast forward to 2011, and we both agreed that we would try our hand and create a concept from scratch. And strangely, franchise wasn't even a conversation. It was something that we wanted to do. Bizarrely, one of the first conversations about it was what our favorite color was and what we wanted that logo to represent. And it really started with the brand. And then we built out the concept and the proposition. And really at the time, it was making something that's affordable and making it a true fitness offering. So typically in Saudi, a female gym had to be attached to a hospital. So the license of that gym was for physiotherapy.
What?
So it was a medical institute.
No gym could exist without a hospital.
Without a hospital or being a women's center, which meant it had to have a food and beverage.
A women's center needed food and beverage.
And it needed retail. So the gym almost became like a bit of an afterthought. So we were going around to these gyms and it was just wild. I mean, there was even a gym that was set up by another Saudi princess who was also phenomenal and really passionate about making change. And her license was as a seamstress. So she had a room within this beautiful spa and gym area, and it actually had a sewing machine in it. So if there were inspections, they were a seamstress in all intents and purposes.
So even a Saudi princess gets inspections.
Yeah, and you know, the family were very much conformist. So this is how things need to be done. So we'll do it, but there's a way.
Well, I do appreciate that they felt they were not above the regulation and that they imposed on everyone else. So the Women's Center had to have some retail and food and beverage. So you had, what, a coffee machine or something?
We had a coffee machine and we had a couple of rails with some clothing. And at the time, actually, we managed to find another lovely Saudi lady who had her own brand of clothing. So it was really nice that we were able to put that in front of the members. And then we also did a deal to make it our trainer uniform as well.
Oh, that's perfect.
And these were beautiful, bright colors as well. Like, I remember thinking, well, these women are going to turn up and they're going to have a lot of black clothes underneath their abayas. I was wrong. I've never seen such bright gym wear, such pushes for identity in things that they were wearing underneath their abayas. There was a statement, and we could have hosted back-to-back Zumba classes in the day and they would love it.
Well, it makes sense, right? I mean, you wear this black abaya every day and you're just so anxious to not have that be your identity. I can completely understand that. So what was the name of that brand, Susan?
That was New You. First one opened in 2012. And then from there, we did 2 more. And then the tweaking happened between each one because it was brand new. At the time, we were charging like 6,000 Saudi Riyal a year, which I think is around $1,200, around that mark. And that was affordable. That was ultra affordable compared to everything else that was on the market. In this day and age, it would be deemed as middle to premium. But at that point, women would come in and say, I can't believe I get this for that price.
Really?
Yeah.
And you said that they used to spend a lot of time in the facility.
Yeah, so it would be 3 hours. Some of it was around organizing transport because women couldn't drive up until 2017 when the government would actually issue a woman a driving license. So the considerations around, can someone take me? Can I get a taxi? So they would come and perhaps they couldn't get a lift back for another 2-3 hours, or they genuinely saw this as a community. They would come do their classes, sit together, have a lovely social, bring their flasks of tea and Arabic coffee.
Kind of move in.
Yeah, and we'd have 20 women sat in our reception area having a great time. And then they'd pop back in and do another class or go and have a workout. It was.
Well, they really clearly needed a place to go to gather. Yeah. Not just to exercise.
Yeah, I said earlier, these gyms, that they're not just opening doors for gyms, we're opening doors for people to exercise and build community and friendships. And they've all got one common theme, which is trying to look after themselves. So I felt honored. I was traveling a little bit between Saudi and Dubai, and women would come up to me in the airports. Sometimes they were working in the airport and some just sort of traveling somewhere. And they'd say, thank you so much.
Wow, that must have felt so good.
Yeah, that they were fully covered. So
you can't recognize
I had
them.
my face out. So I didn't recognize them, but they knew me from being in Europe. I spent a lot of time in the clubs, a lot of time, because it was so important to be on the ground and understanding and experiencing. I was selling memberships as well. So I fully immersed myself in that, and it became a huge part of my identity as well.
So you opened 3 in total, or
We opened 7 in total. And then, as life happens again, I was on a plane coming from Dubai to Saudi, and I was sat working on my laptop, and somebody looked across and said, what do you know about that brand? Because I had the logo, I was writing a letter. And I said, yeah, I know it. He says, I know someone that wants to buy that business. So I said, oh, interesting. And that was in 2017. So, those conversations happen, don't they, where it wasn't really on your radar, but
the opportunity knocks.
Yeah, and you start to think differently. And there's the flattery piece as well. I can't believe someone wants to buy my business. And that was really at the cusp of everyone saying licensing's coming. So what we had was a business that gave people a leg up in the women's fitness arena. So that took about 9 months to put that deal together, because we were a business day by day trading how we can be better. We weren't a business that from the inception set it up with a view to sell, which I think is more common now. There's a lot more entrepreneurs. And
well, you're thinking of your exit strategy when you start, and you weren't doing it back then. You did it because you loved it as a passion project.
It was funded by the royal family. So it was something that we loved. And yes, we had to make money because we're all business people in it. But yeah, as soon as we really put those numbers together and those forecasts, we were like, wow. It was that moment of realization, and we never gave ourselves any recognition. We pushed through, we beat ourselves up for the months that we didn't quite achieve our targets, and we celebrated the ones we did. So they were all like short-term, peaks and troughs. And then when we really mapped it out, it was, now I see why somebody wants to buy us. And so we put that deal together, and we actually decided to put a proper information memorandum together and go out to lots of different people. And we sold for a good amount of money.
What year was that? 2017?
So we sold in 2018.
2018. And then what happened to Susan?
I'm sure many people that have sold a business on the premise that you can run it the way it was, that the values would be upheld. And they were buying it because they loved how things were done. Again, I hadn't done that before. So inexperienced me thought
they would just keep it.
We would just keep going along as we were going, but we'd just put more finite sort of targets in, like this number of clubs a year, rather than just seeing how we go and waiting till one club starts to cover its cost and get profitable.
So things changed. The money people came in, and it's their business. Strip costs, reduce manpower in the gyms, all the things that I think we'd become synonymous for and that we built our foundations on. And it wasn't bringing me joy. And I thought it's better to move away from something where the integrity of everybody is intact rather than scrappy, fighty. I just knew it was time, and it broke me, to be honest. Again, you go back to that identity piece. I hated every moment of saying goodbye to it because it took so long to build, and I knew it was special.
It was like a baby.
Yeah. So by summer of 2018, I made the decision to move to Dubai and take some time out to start a family. And then I got a phone call very early in 2019 from a very well-known Saudi family called the Al Haker family saying, listen, I won't try and sort of embellish it. Are you the girl that knows how to build and scale gyms in Saudi Arabia? I said, yeah, that's me. And they said, we see an opportunity for this budget model to come into the market and really disrupt things. Could you help us? It was just an initial project. It was going to be a study. It was going to be a lookout into the market to see what could adapt. And also, which of the brands had the appetite? Because if you're going to go anywhere in the world, Saudi's quite a tricky market. Even though things had moved forwards and progressed, it was still difficult for foreign people to come in. It wasn't quite the safe.
Sure. I mean, it was 6 years ago. Much was different.
Yeah. And then we just got some traction and we built the relationship with Pure Gym. And for me, I'm a true believer that franchises are as true to what a marriage could possibly be, because you need two consensual parties who understand each other and are aligned on values and any customization. And it's a tricky process. You've got a brand whose DNA is so entrenched in the culture and the way they do things, and it works. So to then say, we need to tweak that a little bit, it's necessary, but you kind of resist it a bit because it's such a powerful beast in the UK. And then they had just also expanded into Europe, into Switzerland and Denmark and Poland. So that was a really interesting project. And then COVID happened, but we continued. We decided to extend the research and development phase and sit it out and see what was going to happen. And in fact, just as lockdown was happening in the UK, the Saudi guys signed on the line and said, we're going to do this, but the clauses were in place to say, I mean, it sounds a bit dire to say it now, but if gyms never open again, there's a get out clause for both parties. So yeah, COVID rolled on. We came out of it in the Middle East faster than most places. So we were ready to go. And we became a nice diversity piece for Pure Gym when Europe and particularly the UK was still struggling with that lockdown. We in the Middle East had progressed on and gyms were opening again and all the rules were in place around social distancing. So we were saying to them, we're ready to go. We've got some green lights here. And they were like, well, go for it, because we've got a huge team that aren't doing much now that can support you. So we rolled on with that. And in 2021, we opened 4 gyms in Saudi, 2 male, 2 female.
In Riyadh?
In Riyadh, yeah.
So how did it go?
Unbelievable. We did a pre-sale, which was 12 weeks. And again, the Pure Gym model is pure online acquisition. So COVID again had really spun the industry in different ways here. That Saudi was very much a cash culture, but with COVID, people needed cards. They had to transact online. So we were able to ride that wave. And social media was really at a push then. So we had the engagement on social media and we had a big culture shift of people being comfortable to pay for things online.
We didn't take any cash in the clubs. We'd considered it as part of the...
But you're right, that was a big cultural shift at the time.
Yeah, so we opened and we had pushed through our targets in the first 3 months, mature gyms, 12, 14 months.
You did it in 3?
We weren't there in 3, but we were way past what we'd anticipated. And we were 99 Saudi riyals when we came to market. And then we crept those prices up as the volume of members increased. And it was such a great time. And I remember the celebrations going into 2022. We opened 6 gyms in that year.
So you're up to 10 at that point?
Yeah. And then we did 8. And then just before I left, we did another 3. So that was 21. And then we did 2 in the UAE as well.
And so you stepped away at what point?
So I stepped away at the end of October last year, so 2024. Life, family. Again, I think always leaving with the integrity intact. I left a great business. And a CEO came on board a little while after I left, but it was an amicable departure. And I was just proud of what I'd done, but my family needed me more in Dubai. And with the development heavily pushed onto Saudi, I knew it needed a move. It needed, with such a young team on so many levels, age, knowledge, somebody needed to be here with their arms around it a lot more. And I wasn't that person to do that.
So your new role, Susan, Precision Health?
Yes. So we are a Dubai headquartered company. We have 26 branches across the world. The business was established in 2006 as distributors of biomedical equipment. So the equipment that you see in laboratories, hospitals and clinics. And our founder, Dr. Tamer, incredible guy. Traditional medicine was his route, and then moved and said, there's got to be more to this, functional medicine, finding root cause and diagnosing and then looking at more holistic ways to heal. And he said, I'm going to build my own lab, and then I'm going to develop with all the labs, with the equipment, a set of DNA tests, and we'll be able to run routine lab works as well. So our tests in terms of DNA are developed to be buccal swabs, so less invasive, no need for blood. So we can send these kits to people's homes to do and send back. But you can get all sorts of insights from your DNA, how to eat, how to exercise, what supplements your body can utilize from a nutrient perspective, risk, and understanding from your DNA, your likelihood of Alzheimer's, stroke, cardiovascular disease. And we give it a score based on your DNA. We have a whole team of genetic counselors. So if you're seeing something that scares you a little bit, but you've got a family history that has prompted you to go and seek that information, we can counsel around it and offer up lifestyle interventions because they can be prevented, and also recommend another set of screening if there's cancer markers or something that people want to just understand a little bit more about. They're really special tests. They're still in their infancy. So my job now is to bring them to the consumer, where the business has traditionally taken products and services to a B2B market. So it's quite the challenge. We're working on updating the actual reports to make sure we connect the dots of what somebody wanted to know in the first place, what was their goal, what test they did, the report, and then how it links back to what they wanted to know about themselves in the first place.
Well, that's quite a departure from being a personal trainer.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's I did a bit of soul searching in between that time. I left Pure Gym to the precision role, and it's stretched me because it's not my comfort zone. I can come to a fitness convention and I know people and I understand the industry, across different territories and regions, but doctors and clinics and laboratories and health authorities, I have had a very steep learning curve, but I've really enjoyed the learning part. And it's nice to move towards something and not away from anything. It's moving with intent.
Well, clearly, coming to Saudi in 2009, you are a person who's not afraid of a steep learning curve. That is obvious. Yeah. So, what are some of the biggest changes you've seen here? I mean, the obvious, women are driving and when you drive around Riyadh, it's nothing but cranes. It's being built at an insane speed. I know the metro opened this year, I think in March, and they opened the whole thing at once. All the lines, all the cars, brand new stations, all ready to go. They just moved very quickly. But has the boom been missed here? I mean, or are people who are interested in a blue ocean for their brand, is this still a good place to come to?
Yeah, I mean, population of 36 million, there's still not enough supply of good facilities where people can go and move their bodies. I believe the education is out there. There's a lot of resource now people can access, and it's the physical places for people to go to. And the government are great because once a decision is made, it's executed very quickly. The projects are rolled out. You see football, you see stadiums, you're seeing more community spaces, more football pitches, more tennis courts. So the speed at which they can move has been phenomenal. And what's really important is it sits as a huge pillar in the vision, that the 2030 vision is activity, community building, and health. It's there and it's discussed so often, it's not an afterthought. And that for me was a really positive sign when they launched the Vision 2030, that they meant business and that they really wanted to move the industry more to preventative health rather than a healthcare system that with a population like that could easily implode if people don't look after themselves.
For sure. I mean, what I've heard about Saudi from before the recent modernizations was that they were a very sedentary society. They don't drink alcohol, so they drink a lot of coffee instead. And the coffee culture here amazed me when I first came, and I would see coffee shops that were open till 1, 2 a.m., 24 hours. But of course, this is where people go because they don't have bars or lounges they have a different kind of lounge here, hookah lounges. So they end up being highly caffeinated and yet sedentary, so ripe really for physical movement. Yeah.
Businesses. And with your coffee normally comes a nice piece of cake. And if there's one thing I think Saudi should get a lot more credit for is their ability to put a good dessert on the menu. Food is a huge part of culture. Family is still a big driver. So with family and get-togethers comes food and a lot of meat, particularly red meat. So here, meat is just red meat and chicken is something completely separate. So when you hear people say, do you eat meat? It just means red meat.
Really?
So it's a lot of red meat, a lot of rice, a lot of coffee, a lot of cake, and couple that with not a lot of places to go that inspire you to move your body. So it's a bit of a downward spiral, but it's these initiatives that come from the government. They're the ones that have the ability to get the word out. They have the ability to make sure it's something that the public are seeing and believing in, and the education.
Well, it's been amazing to see that what they said and having Vision 2030, they meant it. Like they're acting on it. They do it. Things are happening. This is my 4th visit here now. And I mean, I can see the differences already. So in terms of the business opportunity, it seems still to be here.
Yeah, definitely. And hotels offerings have massively upscaled. Like you said this morning, our hotel has a really good gym.
Nice gym for women with techno gym equipment and a yoga studio and a sauna and a steam, and they both work.
I mean, the progressive gyms back in sort of 2013, 14 had a gym, and what they would do is open that gym for women between like 10 and 3. So that was their we cater for women type thing put on my website. We've got a fitness center for women. But, if you're working, those hours don't work. So nice that they made that kind of provision, but it wasn't entirely helpful. So now to see hotels that cater not only to a women's gym, but a proper gym, like that's really great. And I love to see that. And to see more as you're driving around, you're seeing a lot more women's gyms.
No, it is undeniably great. I mean, the energy here is palpable, and the people are very friendly and energetic and helpful. I never feel worried about my safety here.
And you can't put a value on that. That's precious to be able to walk out in the evenings and just go and explore places and not worry about your safety.
Well, I'm sure that it will continue to grow at the pace it is, at least for the time being, under the leadership of MBS and the driving vision till 2030, which is now only 3 and 4 years away, 4.5 years away.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be upon us. Like you kind of always look at those big milestones as so far away, but yeah, it's 3 years. It's still a huge amount to achieve. But when I first saw the first set of data that had ever come out about fitness in the region, that was driven mostly by Fitness Time doing the IPO, is the activity levels then were about 4%. So they're kind of 6 to 7% now, which is huge.
It's almost doubled, right? I mean, 7% is not enough, but it's almost twice 4%. So progress is being made.
When I first came, there were about 1,200 gyms in total in the kingdom, for a population that I think at the time I came was about 27, 28 million.
That's not a lot. Well, Susan Turner, many of them have you to thank for having more gyms to go to.
Oh, it's been my honor and a pleasure.
And thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for showing me to the gym this morning. And what these moments are gold, aren't they? When you happen to meet people at the right time in the right place. And I wish you all the best as well. And it's exciting that people are traveling from the US to come to Saudi, because there's opportunity and you can bring some knowledge and help grow wellness and fitness and all the things that this country needs and wants and embraces.
Well, there's many great things to see here, and it's fun to find a new frontier to discover. So come to Saudi, everybody. Thanks again, Susan.
Thank you so much.
Well, I hope you've enjoyed this special edition recorded live at FIBO Arabia 2025. The inaugural event spread over 3 days, had 140 exhibitors, 50 speakers, and thousands of visitors came, both on the B2B side and B2C. Aligning with Saudi's vision for 2030 of being a healthy and fit country, I would say the population is definitely on board. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week.